Imagine an underground chamber in the Egyptian desert, around the year 350 AD. The walls are covered in inscriptions that no human eye has seen for centuries. A Coptic monk lights a torch and illuminates a text that begins with the following words: "I am the one who came from the one, and the one gave me a name that no language of matter can pronounce." This manuscript never reached the hands of the general public. It was buried, sealed, and forgotten. But the question it carries has crossed time and is now before you. What would happen if Jesus had secretly revealed a sacred name for the source of all that exists? Not the name of a bearded god sitting on a throne, not the name that institutional religions repeat on Sundays, but a vibratory name, a sound frequency capable of reconnecting the divine spark that dwells within you with your absolute origin, a name given only to the chosen, a name for the monad. This idea is not fantasy. It is documented in texts that history itself tried to erase, texts that remain hidden under sand. For almost 2 millennia, protected by the silence of the desert until the exact moment they needed to be found. And what you are about to hear can completely transform the way you understand your existence, your pain, and that persistent feeling that there is something greater waiting for you. Before we continue, I need you to understand one thing. Most of what we call Christianity today is an edited, filtered, and politically convenient version of something much deeper. In the first centuries after Jesus, there were dozens of communities that followed his teachings, but they did not agree among themselves on what he really taught. Some of these communities kept texts that spoke of invisible realities, of layers of existence beyond the physical world, of a luminous origin called Mon, which means absolute unity, the source for which everything emanates before any division. These texts were classified as heretical. They were burned in public squares, forbidden by imperial decrees, and persecuted with ferocity that should make us wonder what was so dangerous about them. The people who guarded them were silenced, excommunicated, sometimes killed. And for almost 1,700 years, this tradition remained literally buried underground, waiting. But in 1945, something extraordinary happened in the village of Nag Hammadi. In Upper Egypt, a peasant named Muhammad Ali Alaman found a sealed ceramic jar while digging near a mountain. He didn't know what he was doing. He almost destroyed the documents, but fate had other plans. Inside this jar were 13 papyrus codices bound in leather, 52 texts written in Coptic, the ancient Egyptian language that held echoes of even older wisdom, texts that the world should not have found. Among there were gospels attributed to Thomas, to Philip, to Mary Magdalene, and among them were treatises that describe the monad with precision and reverence that makes the heart race. The apocryphal Gospel of John, one of the most important and revealing texts of this lost library, describes the monad as something that is beyond any concept that the human mind can formulate. It is not a being. It is not an entity. It is not a person with wills and whims. It is a fullness prior to all existence, the absolute silence that precedes any sound, the light that exists before any lamp is lit. The text says that the monad cannot be measured, cannot be limited, cannot be named by the tongues of ordinary men. And according to this same text, Jesus revealed this sacred knowledge, not in public sermons, not in squares full of curious onlookers. He revealed it in intimate transmissions, face to face, whispered in the ear of those who had eyes to see and ears to hear. And here is the point that changes everything. In these texts, the monad is not just a philosophical concept. It has a name that functions like a vibratory key. When this name is pronounced with the correct intention, with the proper inner alignment, it creates a resonance between the divine spark that dwells in your chest and the infinite source from which that spark came. The Gnostics called this opening the portal, not a physical portal, not a door, wood, or stone, but an opening in perception, a tear in the veil that separates you from your true nature. Now, perhaps you are wondering why this was hidden. Why would anyone want to bury such powerful information? The answer lies in the very structure of the world, as the Gnostics described it. For them, the material world was not created by the Mon, but by an inferior entity called a demiurge, a being who believes himself to be the supreme god, but who is in fact merely a blind craftsman, shaping matter without understanding the light that is above him. The demiurge is not pure evil. He is ignorance with power. He built this world as an imperfect copy of something you cannot see, and then declared that nothing exists beyond his creation. And he governs through his agents, the archons, invisible forces that keep souls trapped in a cycle of forgetfulness and repetition. This forgetfulness is not accidental. It is designed. It is precisely architected. Archons thrive when you don't know who you are. They feed on your confusion, your seemingly causeless anxiety, your sense of emptiness, that feeling you've carried since childhood that something is deeply wrong with this world, that you don't completely belong to this reality, that there's a place you've never visited but that feels like home, that feeling that perhaps society has taught you to ignore, to medicate, to disguise with entertainment and consumption, is actually the most precious sign you possess. It's the divine spark within you, recognizing that it's far from home. It's the monad calling back what is yours. And that's exactly why the monad's secret name has been suppressed, because it's the key that breaks the spell. It's the sound that makes the archons retreat. It's the frequency that dissolves the layers of illusion that have been placed upon your consciousness since the moment you were born into this material world. But here's something that many don't realize, and that changes the whole reading. When Gnostic texts speak of the chosen ones, they are not talking about a genetic elite, a royal bloodline, or people born into a particular religion or country. It has nothing to do with status, money, or position in this world. The chosen ones are the pneumatics, a word that comes from the Greek pneuma, which means spirit, vital breath. The invisible breath of the divine is carried within those who carry a spark of the original light, a living seed of the monad that was planted even before the creation of the material world. And the mark of this spark is not wealth, not earthly power, not social prestige or external recognition. The mark is precisely that restlessness you feel, that hunger that no food satisfies, that deep thirst that no material achievement, no relationship, no distraction can quench. If you're listening to this now and something inside your chest is responding, if a shiver ran down your skin, or if your eyes became moist for no apparent reason, pay close attention. This is not coincidence. This is not chance. The Gnostic texts say that the divine spark itself recognizes a truth when it hears it, even if the conscious mind is still trying to process it. The body knows before reason. The soul recognizes before the intellect. And that feeling is the first sign that the name we are going to explore is not just historical information for you. It is a tool for awakening. It is an ancient call that has been waiting for the right moment to reach your ears, like a letter that was sent millennia ago and has only now found its address. The ancient Gnostics believe that every pneumatic soul has a specific moment when the veil begins to tear, when the questions become impossible to ignore, when the search ceases to be intellectual curiosity and transforms into a vital need, into an urgency of the soul. And perhaps, just perhaps, that moment is exactly now. Because what I'm going to share now is not in the books you find in the common bookstore. It is not in Sunday sermons. It is not in the history classes that the educational system prepared for you. What I will reveal comes directly from texts that were sealed in ceramic jars and hidden in the caves of Upper Egypt. Texts that survived fires, persecutions, and the very weight of time. And these texts speak of a name. In the Coptic Gospel of the Egyptians, also known as the Sacred Book of the Great Invisible Spirit, there is a passage that describes a moment when the monad emanates from itself the first creative forces of the pleroma, which is a name given by the Gnostics to the divine fullness, to the kingdom of pure light that exists before and above any material world. I end this process of emanation. Sounds emerge, not human words, not syllables invented by some ancient culture, primordial sounds, pure vibrations that precede language, that even precede thought as we know it. And among these sounds, the text records specific vowel sequences that function as sacred names, as keys to access higher reality, as passwords that open doors that exist beyond the reach of physical eyes. The most impressive thing is that these sequences are not random. They follow patterns that appear in multiple independent Gnostic texts, written by different communities at different times, in different regions of the ancient world. This suggests that they were not invented by a single author. They were received, transmitted, and preserved with a care that reveals how sacred they were considered. But before talking about how to pronounce that name, you need to understand something fundamental about the nature of sound in Gnostic cosmology. For the Gnostics, sound is not just vibration of air. Sound is the mechanism by which reality organizes itself. In the beginning, there was no matter, no form, no separation. There was only emanate and absolute silence. And the first act of creation was a sound, an emission, a thought that became vibration. and that became light. The entire pleroma was born from sound. This means that when you pronounce a sacred name, you are not simply repeating syllables. You are reproducing on a human scale the original act of creation. You are emitting a frequency that resonates with the deepest structures of existence. And when that frequency meets the divine spark that dwells within you, something happens that the Gnostics described as anamnesis, a Greek word that means a dissolution, forgetfulness. It's not that you learn something new. It's not that someone from the outside puts information into your head. It's the opposite. It's that you remember something you always knew, something that is part of your deepest essence, but that was covered by layers and layers of illusion, of conditioning, of arcane programming. Now, the name in Gnostic texts, especially in the Coptic Gospel of the Egyptians and in related treatises, such as the Austrians and the Marsons, Mon is invoked through sacred vowel combinations. The 7 vowels of the Greek alphabet, which are Alpha, Alin, Eta, Iota, Oikron, Y, and Oga, were considered the fundamental sounds of the universe. Each vowel corresponded to a level of the pleroma, to a layer of divine emanation, and when pronounced, in specific sequences, these vowels created what the ancients called an unpronounceable name, not because it was impossible to say, but because its true power was only revealed to those who pronounced it with awakened consciousness. The sequence most revered in the text was a complete pronunciation of the 7 vowels in order, each one prolonged and sustained like a chant. It wasn't about speaking quickly. It was about letting each sound vibrate throughout the entire body, from the belly to the top of the head, feeling each vowel resonate at a different point in one's being. The Gnostics practiced this in dark chambers, often before dawn, when the mind is still on the threshold between sleep and wakefulness, in that state where consciousness is most porous and receptive. And here's some information. This will connect everything you've heard, so far in a way that might make your heart beat faster. Jesus, in the Gnostic text, is not just a moral teacher who teaches beautiful parables about sowing and reaping. He is something much greater and much more radical than that. He is an emissary of light, a being sent directly from pleroma, from the divine fullness, to cross the barriers created by the archons and deliver to the pneumatic souls the key to return. And this key has a name. It is called gnosis, not intellectual knowledge, not information accumulated in books and libraries. Knowledge lived in the body and soul, felt in the bones and blood, capable of dissolving the invisible chains that bind the divine spark to dense matter. In the apocryphal Gospel of John, Jesus appears to John after the crucifixion and reveals the entire structure of the invisible cosmos. He describes how the monad emanated the pleroma from itself, how the era that gave rise to the demiurge arose, how pneumatic souls were imprisoned in material bodies, and how they can return. And in this return, the name of the monad plays a central role. It is described as the seal, the password, the sound that opens the doors of the archon's guard between this world and the original light. Think about this for a moment. Let this idea really sink in. If you were a force that feeds on human forgetfulness, what would be most dangerous for you? It wouldn't be a physical weapon. It wouldn't be an army marching. It would be a sound, a vibration, a sacred word that, when pronounced, makes the soul remember who it truly is, makes the divine spark shine with such intensity that the shadows simply cannot remain. That is why this knowledge was so fiercely fought throughout the centuries, not because it was false, not because it was dangerous to people, but because it was too powerful to be left in everyone's hands. And now this knowledge is here before you, breathing in these words after almost 2,000 years of forced silence. But knowing the name is not enough. The Gnostic texts themselves make this very clear. The Marsons, a treatise that functions almost as a manual of spiritual practice, describes that the pronunciation of the sacred name needs to be accompanied by 3 internal conditions. The first is the stillness of mind, what they call the resiquia, the inner silence that allows one to hear beyond the noise of the world. The second is the purity of intention, the genuine desire to return to the source, not out of curiosity, not out of spiritual vanity, but out of love for the light that dwells within you. And the third is the awareness of breath, the deliberate and sacred breathing that transforms air into a vehicle for spirit. When these 3 conditions align, and the name is pronounced, the text describes that something happens in the subtle field of the practitioner. A vibration begins in the center of the chest, rises up the spine and reaches the crown of the head, creating what some treatises call a column of light. This column is the portal. It is not a door that opens in physical space. It is not a hallucination. It is not imagination. It is a real opening in your own consciousness, a living channel that reconnects the spark with the source from whence it came. And at that moment, the texts say, the practitioner experiences something that no human word can fully describe, a simultaneous sensation of return and arrival, as if returning to a place they never truly left, and at the same time discovering something completely new, something that has always been there, but that can now finally be seen, felt, and lived. And the most extraordinary thing is that you don't need a temple to do this. You don't need a priest as an intermediary. You don't need permission from any institution, any church, any external authority. The Gnostics always knew this. And that's why they were persecuted, because they taught that the path back to the light is direct, personal, and non-transferable. Everything you need is already within you. The spark is there waiting. The name is reaching you now, at this very instant, and the technique that the ancient Gnostics used to activate this portal is something you can start practicing tonight in the silence of your room, with nothing but your voice, your breath, and your intention. Now I need you to do something. Place your hand in the center of your chest. Feel the warmth that is there. Feel the beating of your heart, that rhythm that has never stopped since the moment you arrived in this world. For the Gnostics, the heart is the throne of the divine spark, the exact point where the light of the monad was deposited before you were born into this body. And that light is pulsing now, this second, responding to everything you have just heard. You didn't arrive at this video by chance. Of all the millions of pieces of content available at this moment, something guided you here. The Gnostics call this pronoia, the providence that acts silently in the lives of pneumatic beings, preparing the way back. What I share with you today is not theory. It is a rescue of knowledge that survived bonfires and almost 2 millennia of silence. Knowledge that says something devastating. You are not just matter. Within you exists a spark of absolute unity, and that spark is a way back home. The secret name of the monad is the key. Tonight, before sleeping, turn off the lights, sit in silence, breathe slowly with intention, and when you feel that stillness has arrived, let your voice pronounce the 7 sacred vowels one by one, feeling each sound vibrate within your chest, as if you were awakening something that has been sleeping for a long time. If while doing this you feel a warmth in the center of your chest, if tears come without explanation, if a deep peace takes over you, know that it is not suggestion. It is the spark responding. If something inside you move while listening to these words, write in the comments the words I remember. You will realize that you are not alone. There are thousands of sparks awakening at this very moment around the world. And if you want to go deeper on this path, subscribe to this channel and activate the bell, because what was revealed today is only the beginning. The veil is being torn, and those who have eyes to see already see the light on the other side.